Greetings to your existence! Mewgenics, this is the first cat game that die-hard cat lovers are strictly forbidden from playing. Cats are just expendable resources, often with mental and physical defects that you breed and send into battle. You're a freaking Mengele in the world of cats. And I didn't make that comparison to such a widely condemned figure for no reason, because there's a boss in this game who's much worse than the person I just mentioned. You can create an inbred from a non-traditional cat who was born a dwarf with Down syndrome, and by sending him to clear floors, he'll gain traits like ADHD, bipolar disorder, depression, dyslexia, Tourette's, and schizophrenia, or even triskaidekaphobia, a pathological fear of the number 13. Mewgenics is a game developed by geniuses for geniuses. It's a direct descendant of Isaac, just as twisted and filthy. Comrade Edmund knows how to turn inside out what's usually kept behind closed doors. His games are the embodiment of human sins mixed with excrement, blood, and vomit, and it's just wonderful. In this video, I'll complete 20% of the game, finishing the first act and half of the second. And most importantly, I'll breed exactly 100 cats. It's a turn-based roguelike, and some parts might be a bit boring to watch. It's more fun to play yourself, of course, but I'll try to make it as engaging and fresh as possible for you. At the start, you have no clue what the hell is going on. Some guy wakes me up in his lab and tries to convince me that science is multifaceted and his feline discoveries can save the world. Apparently, I'm now his assistant in the scientific trade. Whatever he's doing there, as they say, I'm just following orders. He gave me a choice of the first 3 cats, which is where the family tree begins. I picked the best looking ones, but apparently not the strongest. The third one went to the kebab shop. Congratulate me on my first 2 cats, Pandora and Jassu. The cat counter has started. I was instructed to go out into the world and collect stray mangy cats. I went out but didn't get far because the tutorial started. And this is the perfect time to soak up a bit of info, so we don't have to come back to it again. My 2 cats, and apparently everyone else's, have stats. There are only 7 here, and they show exactly how strong or weak a cat is. Strength is for melee damage, the bow is for ranged damage. The heart increases health. The light bulb is mana regen. Speed is movement range. The smile is maximum mana capacity. The clover is crit chance and RNG. The higher the stats, the better. The lower they are, well, you'll see later. Next, I met a guy who helped me learn the ropes, how to move, attack, use abilities, and so on. I'm really surprised there's a tutorial in a roguelike. He's very focused, wanting to teach me how to control the cats. Strange fellow, but there are no non-strange people in this game. This one, for instance, is a pervert, but maybe more on that a bit later. Mana regenerates when you click end turn. Everything except the basic attack costs mana. After clearing a room of enemy cats, one of the 4 cats levels up. With each level up, you're offered a choice of 1 random ability, whether it's a passive, an active, or a stat boost. It can be total garbage or ultra overpowered. There's a ton of them here, to put it mildly, so I'll only describe the ones I pick. Also, while clearing floors, you'll encounter stat checks, kind of like in D&D. For example, you can eat a piece of crap and you'll either heal, get poisoned, or even get some kind of mutation. At the end of the tutorial, we beat the boss, Pebbles. The boss is easy, but the game decided to show me what injuries are and one-shot Pandora. I picked another passive, Furious. But it doesn't matter, because we beat the boss, got home, and finished the tutorial. This run probably doesn't even count. There we were met by Tink, a, shall we say, interesting-looking fellow of questionable orientation or something even worse. He explained to me that cats returning from raids can no longer participate in them. They basically become retirees. All they have left is to stay home, mate, and pass on their strong or weak genes to their kittens until they die. Finished my first day, and a so-called mating occurred, after which Orange Cat was born. An unusual name for a cat that isn't orange at all. Every day, 1 cat eats 1 unit of food. You can either buy it or loot it in raids. You can't take newborn kittens on raids because they're just kids. It'll take time for them to grow up. Strangely enough, cats become adults after 24 hours, but if you need reinforcements fast, you can take a stray cat. Every day, 1 mangy stray shows up. The stats of such cats aren't the best initially, but the more attractive the house is, the stronger and prettier the strays that come. Furniture will help with that, but it's not unlocked yet. So I took a 4th cat, Moro. On the very first night, he went on the attack. Just like in real life, not everyone wants to breed every day. They have a bunch of hidden parameters and desires that will be revealed as you progress. Right now, you can't just make them pop out a dozen kittens, especially if 2 male cats want each other. The next day, Rengar came to us. Chief Keyfix was born during the night. The names in this game can be quite strange. Moro and the Orange Cat decided to try for a kitten, but for some reason there was no kitten. The next day, 2 more cats appeared, one of whom I immediately took on the first full raid. Looks like we can go with these guys now. Here, the opportunity arose to give classes to my cats. So far, 4 out of 14 possible ones are unlocked. Each class takes away some stat and adds another, depending on which class it is. For example, the tank class adds HP, but lowers intelligence and range attack. It's logical that a collar like this goes to the cat with the most health, so it can soak up damage. Mage for the highest intelligence, archer for the bow, and fighter for strength. For now, I don't have to think too long about choosing classes. The first cats don't really stand out with anything unique. Rengar and the scouts are heading out on an adventure. I gave each of them a stick. One of these increases the attack range by 1 tile. The first act always starts on a regular street. The mobs here are fitting too, rats and stray cats that you need to beat to death. By the way, you're probably wondering where they got so many sticks. Well, that's an innate passive of one of my fighters. Before the raid starts, it's impossible to know these passives. That's exactly why every run has its own personal level of weirdness. His weapon deals triple damage, but it always breaks upon use. There are quite a few passives like that, and not all of them are unlocked right away. You'll have to unlock them as you progress through the story. For a test, I whacked an enemy with a stick right away. It took off 12. So, it works. You have to check everything, because everything that happens on screen is random. There are such crappy abilities here that it's better to think everything through first, like in freaking chess, before using anything. One of those is my sorcerer's innate ability, after which he farted so hard that he got PTSD. The newly acquired passive gives a chance to take +2 damage to the face, as well as fear after taking any damage. Now this passive will stay with him until his very death. After clearing the room, Morrow leveled up, got +1 to his main stat and the 1-2 punch ability. It seemed like the best one out of all the options. I tried drinking water from the fountain, but got -4 to intelligence and +1 to charisma. That's very critical for a mage. The second room wasn't particularly different. Same rats, same cats, no losses so far and not even any damage. Well, almost. By the way, after every cleared room, you get golden food. That's important. A level up, this time for the tank. I took the stone crusher and put a feathered cap on the fighter, which adds 4 speed. Items also drop randomly, but the harder the room, the higher the chance of a good item dropping. Cats without items are like cats without balls. Stats and abilities are good, but without items it can be very tough. In the second and third acts, you really feel it. They're divided into 3 types: weapons, armor, and trinkets. Armor in turn is divided into head, face, and neck. Just like in Isaac, there's an item tier: common, uncommon, rare, and super rare. Most items are part of sets, and when you collect 3, some weird and mysterious effect activates, which isn't always positive. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Going back to how you get cats, you can acquire them during a run. Just randomly, one of the cats joins the party, and then you have 5 cats instead of 4. He also brought us the Never Stone, an item that blocks leveling up. At first glance, it might seem like total crap, but all the newcomers are morons who don't have a class. Just regular cats, leveling them up isn't that useful. Met a boss. Lucy is an easy boss, constantly activating different abilities in various directions, whether it's circular cold, diagonal lightning, or a flamethrower in front of her. Just step out of the area and shove a paw up this dummy's butt. By the way, backstabs here deal increased damage, and you shouldn't forget that. After the first turn, the cat guy has 39 HP left. Truly, the boss isn't difficult. Leveled up booty, and then he got caught in a mousetrap, got an injury, a torn tendon. But one doesn't stop the other. After clearing another room of losers, I found a very ordinary, apparently human embryo, which he gobbled up, thereby restoring 100% HP to the whole group. It looks scary, but it's even scarier to imagine what would have happened if the stats weren't enough for success. Found a heavy stone. It will be used as the main weapon. There's always a shop before the final boss of the floor. One of the reasons why it's worth saving money specifically during a run. There were 3 items here just now. There's absolutely always a rare candy here for 10 Meow coins that levels you up, plus 2 random pieces of gear. You should absolutely always take the level, but due to my being a newbie, I didn't take it and took a club instead. It will be used as a weapon for the tank. And here's the long-awaited boss, the Radical Rat. This one, like other bosses in the game, is unique. For example, this guy in cool shades tosses bombs around and detonates them at the end of the round, spreading fire. In the fire, these bombs explode instantly and deal a lot of damage. Our catamarans have the chance to destroy them and avoid the explosion, but then they won't deal damage to the boss. I think one of the cats who deals the least damage should handle this. But mostly, things don't go as planned, and only whoever can reach the bomb deals damage. Maybe I didn't realize it right away, so I attacked the boss with the archer and thus, it turns out, dealt damage to 2 egg lickers for half their HP. The next bomb just exploded in the fire, but they survived that too. So just think about how the most default boss could turn into an unbeatable one in just 2 turns, because I didn't think ahead. By the way, bomb corpses also explode if fire is applied to them. With great difficulty, we finished off the boss, leveled up the archer and ended this run since we have nowhere else to go. But on the plus side, we've now unlocked a new location, the sewers. In total, there are 5 locations and 1 secret area in both the first and second acts. Each new one unlocks upon completing the previous one. It's impossible to clear everything in one go, and for the secret location, you need to complete a quest. The cat team brought back all the items they found. Now I'll be able to use them as intended on the next cats until the items break, and they break after 3 or 4 runs. The next day, I met another poor soul of this mortal cat world, Frank, who lives in the drain under our house. Like everyone here, Frank looks strange not just in appearance, but in everything else too. A man in a poop costume builds houses out of crap and sticks. You could say he's not all there. He suggests I send cats through a pipe system that connects the whole city, and in return I get home upgrades. Cats here aren't just a resource. They're also a currency. Not bad. He doesn't want just any cats, only those that are ready to retire. So you can't give him newborns or regular adults. A new cat appeared, Hamish. I sent my first cat, Pandora, to Frank. He was already a retiree. Frank, in his poop suit, was happy with the gift, and now he's ready to build us a cat penthouse. Butch, by the way, gave me a new collar, the Cleric, probably for finishing the first stage of the street story. It's a new class, and it's all about healing the team. It's one of the most important classes. Tink also started blabbing in his own language, which is hard to understand, giving advice on home decor. The house has 4 main parameters for cat breeding: comfort, stimulation, health, and mutations. At night, Hamish and Kevin got into a fight, but nothing came of it. In these duels, winners usually get a stat boost, while losers get injured or even die. This happens when overcrowding causes the room's comfort level to drop below 0. If you don't boost comfort, all the cats might end up killing each other. In the morning, Butch and Tink told me that I can send cats to them as well. You give Tink newborn kittens in exchange for breeding information. He's a shady little guy who loves kittens, which is a bit concerning. But what wouldn't you do for the bright future of genetics? And for S&M Butch, battle-hardened cats in exchange for more item storage. There are about 900 items in the game, so we definitely need that upgrade, or we'll be stuck deciding what to keep. Plus 1 cat. The first 10 are collected. Some are already gone for home upgrades, but none are forgotten. 2 cats fought, and in the morning a new one arrived, with bad stats as usual. Gave another to Butch, which upgraded the storage box. I gave the rest of the cats I could for upgrades too. Then I assembled the best squad of killer cats from Street Strays, and even one of Pandora's descendants. The lineup didn't change much, except for the mage. I replaced him with a cleric. The second party of loyal heroes, cleaning the city streets of crime. As usual, the first waves are easy. Here, we take the time to carefully level up the cats, making sure to do our best and try not to fail any of the stat challenges along the way. So far, it's a total cakewalk. Leveled up the tank, equipped a poop mask for defense, and then found a big trash can. Behind what seemed like literal trash was a non-trashy stat boost for every cat. Luck is highly valued in this game, because mostly, you're unlucky. Met the boss, Maisie, a huge cat with her pack of smaller cats. The mob mechanic is that you can't target the small cats without Maisie intervening. She always swaps places and takes the hit. That's probably more of a plus than a minus, since the boss basically dies faster. On this same turn, he goes around and licks the cat's butts, thereby increasing their damage. If I had area of effect attacks, it would be much easier, but for now, we're fighting as best we can. Anyway, the boss isn't hard. The main thing is to take out Messi as fast as possible, and the other cats will scatter. In general, that's exactly what happened. For the victory, they gave, as usual, coins, food, and also leveled up Hamish. He tried to make friends with the mice, but took 5 damage. We cleared another room, met not mice, but rats, fought them, and got some grub that restores health. Next I found a top hat. It looks awfully familiar. I think it was an Isaac. It gives bombs if there are no other items. Speaking of bombs. Again, a rat in glasses is trying to blow me up. It's not going well for her, because at the start of the run it began to rain and the bomb fuses went out immediately. By the way, rain is one of 75 weather phenomena, and they all affect combat to some extent. All he could do was deal 5 damage per bomb throw to the head. I don't think he threw it at our heads last time. Turns out the weather is overpowered. We cut him down quickly, for which we got a level and glasses, again painfully familiar, just like the ones from Isaac that give a double shot. But now they only give +2 to intelligence and - to health. Turns out to be total garbage. As you remember, last time the sewer location opened up. I think my cats are strong, so I can go check out the situation. And so, if anyone was wondering where the crap is from the creator of games about crap, here it is. Crap on the floor. Crap shooting crap, and a little crap with 1 HP. Also, for some reason, there are pig cats in the sewer. Annoying creatures actually, but with an interesting farting mechanic after taking damage. Actually, all the mobs here are different in some way, and each has a unique trait that's best learned by reading the mob info just by hovering over it. The first room went pretty smoothly. Only the archer took damage, everyone else was at full health by the end. It's all because of the terrain features, if you can call it that. Some need to hide while the tank goes out in the open and draws aggro from as many enemies as possible. Leveled Up chose a new passive that gives the cleric the ability to cast a shield on allies. Spikerton stumbled upon a pile of crap with worms. Well, and he tried to eat it. By doing this, he got a bean parasite, which can't be removed now. And here come the cursed items. They can only be removed if the cat has died. This, by the way, was somehow considered a success. It's scary to imagine what would have happened in case of failure. New room, new mobs. This time it's cat sharks and fat cat hogs that explode upon death. I wonder if I'll run into a cat dog. Sharks, by the way, are super dangerous. It's better not to get close to them. Sometimes it feels like they hit with no cooldown at all. The problem is that each bite applies 1 stack of bleeding, and if you accumulate 10 or more, you're done for. Every round, health will be lost until the cat dies. Fortunately, as a counter, I have an archer who almost always crits for 12 damage, leveled him up and put a new sword amulet on the tank. Right then, a medieval helmet fell out of the toilet. My archer tried to clear the pipe and flooded everything with shitty water. I don't know what happened, but now waves of water are pouring over the boss. By the way, the boss is new. Flushmaster. He's kind of like a piece of poop. Shit bosses are exactly what we love and respect. In the last room, our fighter took quite a bit of damage, leaving him with only 1 HP. He also had a confusion debuff, which sometimes stops him from acting as I planned, and he decides what to do himself. For example, just now he was supposed to eat some chicken, but he decided to whack himself on the head and got a concussion. Great! Now the main thing is that he doesn't die for good, because even though he's down, he's still alive and can revive at the end of the battle if we win. Luckily, I had a cleric this time who rolls back the number of hits and turns until total death. While healing, we dealt some damage, killed the puddle itself, finished off the poop, and beat the boss. This time, Kevin leveled up. Kevin reached 15 health, which increased his HP to 60. Those stats are far from weak. For some reason, I decided not to buy the candy in the shop again and moved on. On the way, I ran into a little guy. He asked a very philosophical question. Which is better, poop or boogers? If you think about it, both options can be considered from a physiological standpoint. All body waste that allows the body to continue functioning in its standard mode. However, boogers, formerly snot, are a thickened substance that must be immediately picked out to avoid clogging the nasal cavity. Boogers interfere with breathing and usually don't come out on their own, thereby putting the body at risk due to insufficient oxygen flow. I think the answer is obvious. Poop wins in a one-on-one battle. For that, he gave me a mega poop, shitting it right onto the fighter's head. Now he has 4 armor and spawns shit under himself whenever he moves. This shit can be broken to loot consumables like coins, food, or armor. Since it wasn't the floor boss but a mini-boss, we count our blessings and move on. There's very little left. This time, the cat with the condition at least didn't kill himself, but he tried desperately. We won, but with every stunt like that, I doubt our future success. You could say I have 3 cats now instead of 4. While traveling, Kevin found a medallion and learned Gaze into the Future. I didn't really get what it is, but whatever. And now we've encountered the area boss, Boris. Right off the bat, our red hero with shit on his head decides to kill himself for good and end the activity. The boss has only 200 HP. This is the first enemy that's this tanky. We're not exactly weak either, guys, except for the fighter. There's absolutely no difficulty with this boss. He doesn't even hit that hard, just crawls around and tries to squash everyone with his fat belly. An easy boss. The whole difficulty of this room is just how tanky the boss is. If there were some physical or magic defense, or if he summoned someone, it would be a bit harder. Leveled up the cleric, got a couple of items, and the cats proudly marched home. There were no more options. The paths are closed, but we managed to unlock the caves, the final location of the first branch of Act 1. The next location after the sewers. There's no more room in the stash, so I had to throw the useless stuff in the trash. And you know what? Let me give away 10 copies of Mewgenics over on my Telegram, since things are going so wild. Come on in and join. I'll be happy to chat with everyone. Well, I'm heading off now. Butch started pestering me with his cool advice and dirty jokes, but there's still some use in them. He gave me the Thief's Collar. So now we've unlocked a new damage dealer class with very poor survivability. In the morning, a caster joined us, talked to the underground crapman who's apparently lost his mind from his illnesses, and then with Tracy. She's a gender-neutral feminist with a bunch of mental disorders who'll wish me death every time we meet. That's in case you don't understand why I'll be cursing at her if the chance arises. She also accepts special kitties as gifts. This Tracy identified us as a pet lover and sells gear for them. 5 more kittens appeared during the night. 3 were born, 2 are adopted. I gave some to Butch right away and kept the rest for the journey. Even after several days and a couple of runs, my kittens don't look like their stat values could be called good. so assigning classes doesn't really have a specific strategy either. I chose the Thief class, let's try it in action. The idea is that this class should take away a huge amount of health. What will happen in reality? We'll see. I geared up my cats and started the adventure. Since they got items, killing rats in the starting areas became even easier and faster, especially with grenades and bombs in the inventory. I leveled up the healer and got a new ability, healing at a distance. It was about time I got something like that. Roguelike found a pile of cat corpses, and inside the pile, a geode. A great thing for earning some coins. Later, I also found a bag of junk. It's nice that most consumables here can deal damage and bring items. A hardcore path opened on the map, where Butch promised tougher enemies but better rewards. So I think there's no point in taking the casual path, especially since it's the first area where everything is already quite easy. The path is indeed a little bit harder. A few battles later I felt it, but it's still not super difficult. Leveling up the rogue gave him 14 speed. The end of the hard path gave some food and a chance to level up a bit more before the boss. Overall, it's not like I really farmed much here. We dealt with the bomb rat very quickly in just 3 rounds. The automatic shot at an enemy in the archer's range is just broken, because no matter how many enemies there are, he'll shoot them all. In this case, he took out the bombs right after they landed and didn't even spend a turn on it. By completing the hard path, I unlocked the junkyard. This is the second of the 2 branches of Act 1. However, the path into the sewers continues. I want to reach the end of one branch before starting the other. By the way, remember I said that the rogue has very little HP, and nothing has changed. But I'm defending this cat so much that he hardly tanks a single hit. The archer is mostly soaking up the damage. I found an embryo and tried to charm it. He and his pink friends have joined us. Pinkies are rat embryos that just roll around the map randomly until something crushes them. Personally, I'm in shock. I found an item, magic cheese. It adds HP and also a crossbow with a slimy hat. Interesting weapon and gear options, but I'd rather use my head and leave everything as it was. The boss is the Rat King. From the name, you can probably tell what kind of guy he is. He spawns other rats, but on his own he's not a worthless piece of meat knocked out in 3 rounds. Yeah, you can tell right away the cats I've gathered are just fire. I bought a brick mask and a candy, raising the rogue to level 4 already. His speed stats are already too high to keep leveling them up. He already runs all over the map, so I put points into strength for melee damage. I didn't know then that strength only boosts melee damage and the rogue uses ranged attacks. Another room with sharks and fruits. Kill the sharks first while the fruits drinking water every round are practically helpless. I found a DNA multiplier. It doubles all status effects on the cat, whether it's health regen or bleed and fire. It's a scary thing because often there are way more debuffs than buffs. Slowly, all the cats are getting close to level 5. For example, Roguelike gets a mark that guarantees critical damage on a mob. In my opinion, it's the archer's best ability, probably on par with Sacred Heart in Isaac. It's perfect for Boria. We're already landing crits of course, but not nearly enough. Since the mark is new, I keep forgetting to use it before the archer's main shot. I'm rushing somewhere, and I don't even know where. Well, whatever. When he moves, Boria gets such a beating that his father never even dreamed of. Victory over Boris the cat in 2 rounds. I didn't think I'd have such a strong build by the 3rd run. From him I got a wizard hat and an eye for a flip when taking potential damage. It's a really cool item. Too bad I ignored it for an indefinite amount of time. I headed into the caves for the first time. In the cutscene you could see some huge spiders eating cats alive here. But my slowpoke cats apparently don't give a damn. In the first room we were met by spider cats, 10 tickles. The guys just teleport across the water tiles and tickle your balls. Yeah, every new mob is fascinating. After the battle, a glass shard was found. Just recently I was shocked by this item, calling it the worst in Isaac, but here it works great. It applies bleed. Overall, it'll do for the rogue. I met the boss. A slime, the most typical slime you can imagine. Upon death, it splits into smaller slimes, and so on until they're all dead. No matter how cute and easy the slime seemed, its mini versions gave me a hard time. Yeah, I lost my damage dealer. The slime simply didn't let him move and killed the guy. Actually, it wasn't them who finished him off, but me with my divine light. Why that happened, I have no idea. But the fact remains, the cat was torn apart under the power of God's light. We've upgraded so well that we're starting to improve our existing abilities. Each upgrade increases the ability's effectiveness, which basically makes the cat stronger. Yeah, it's a shame what happened to the thief, of course. Rest in peace. And he was already so leveled up. Sir Jensen joined us in his place. Every time cats die in battle, we're given a random level 1 cat. He's obviously worse than even a dead one, but what can you do? You can't go hardcore with a lineup like this. So I went the usual casual route, hoping that the boss would do me a favor and just die off on its own. The boss is far from easy, but it's not super difficult either. The main thing is to use your head and position your fighters correctly. From time to time, the Weaver descends and deals damage, but sometimes she runs away and releases her spiderlings and webs onto the ground, making movement impossible. With the Archer's crits and the frequency of damage, dealing with the spiderlings is a piece of cake. But I had to sweat a bit over the Spider Queen and stack all sorts of debuffs on her, like bleeding. Her fleeing the battlefield dragged the fight out so much that it took us a full 6 rounds to win. Well, for the final boss of this branch, that's excusable. If the Archer didn't have so much damage, I'm sure we would have been wiped out. By the way, in the process, Sir Jansen got PTSD and depression, which reduced his stats to values lower than some random stray mutt. He's going straight to the trash with no chance of breeding. God forbid he passes his traits on to the kittens. Well, after the boss, the hunters learned the spider ball ability, the clerics learned ethereality, and the tanks learned suplex. I reached the wall of flesh. Familiar stuff, isn't it? For some reason, I bit off a chunk of it, got 20 food for it, and went home. I have so much food that I've already accumulated 100 out of 100. All the remaining food was simply destroyed. I need to buy more space. The item storage is also a total mess. There are so many items that even the trash bin is almost full. We clearly need more cats to sell as well as meow coins. Little Jackie Chan came to see me. He believes that by injuring himself, his injured parts will become stronger. So he gouged out his eye and is waiting for a new one to grow with the ability to shoot lasers. Anyway, as you might have already realized, this is a new crazy merchant selling furniture. And as you remember, it makes cat breeding more efficient and new kittens are born faster. Apparently my setup is fine as it is, since Ruger appeared with 12 charisma. Though there are some issues with intelligence. He's like a total moron. I put a bathtub in the house, let them bathe. Butch gave me a tip that you can take 3 cats on an adventure instead of 4 to make leveling up much faster. But I didn't follow that advice. Poor roguelike is being led in circles every night. And I thought it was a cat. We're giving some cats to Butch, including roguelike. He's done his job and then some. I gathered a party of motherfuckers, chose suitable roles for them, equipped items similar to the last run, and went to beat up some flies and stray cats. Now the path leads to the junkyard. The first location isn't difficult at all, as I've said 100 times before, so I'll keep it brief. Though half of the cats have very low HP. The Archer has 12 and the Rogue has 16. By the way, he almost got killed at the start because this class has to get close to deal damage despite having ranged attacks. It's a very questionable class unless it gets something overpowered for damage from the start. So much for the lightness of being. No new skills are dropping yet, but that's only for now. However, a bucket of lard dropped, straight out of Isaac. Here it fully heals itself and an ally. Found a Marauder's Mask, it applies bleed from backstabs. Just the thing for high-profile thieves. My cat with Down syndrome met Butch and couldn't understand him. I had to pick an option at random. Downs are excellent tanks, it's hard to argue with that. That's exactly why I want to have a squad of down cats sometime in the future. I guessed right and got a bag of glass. Met the trapper cat Fenrir. Feels like some Norse god, but in reality it's just another cat jerk. Still an easy boss. It's no trouble at all to wreck him. The main thing is to watch closely where he sets his traps. The down ate a daisy and increased his intel by 1, but it didn't seem to help him. Most likely he didn't even realize what happened. Found some questionable salt, but here it's actually resurrecting. Quite useful. Killing the stupid rat in glasses still wasn't anything difficult. My rogue dealt with him in just 2 turns, attacking 3 times at once. Now nothing will stop the cats from heading to the junkyard. Here, don't be surprised, is a full-blown junkyard with lots of trash, both as the environment and as living things, including even trash cats that are half made of garbage and glass, which they spit at you. The trash itself in turn does almost nothing, but if you destroy it, it releases trash that's already moving. Basically a pile of junk. For some reason, the down cat takes on most of the activity, making it unclear what their purpose is and what to choose. But, as in all games, the main thing isn't the letters, but strength and honor, because only with that do we progress further through the junkyard, killing everything in our path. The location isn't very pleasant. Some sneaky bastards live here. The rogue, by the way, has already reached level 4, and even considering his bow is only level 4, he's still the top damage dealer in the whole group. Found a rusty one. This stick's damage is equal to its uses. So, the perfect tips met a hobo for the first time. Literally. The hobo cat is a mini-boss on the way to the floor's main boss. He's cool, has many abilities, and not all of them follow any logic. Though it depends how you look at it. We learned about one ability, but there are a few others. Alcohol healing and bottle toss, sleep healing for 15 HP, fleas, and a spit. Yeah, the dev clearly put effort into such a charismatic mini-boss. Anyway, the victory was already in the bag, and the cats continued to build up level, mass, and abilities. After the boss, I tried going the hard route, and it was worth it because items were dropping like crazy. I just couldn't keep up with swapping them on the cats. I don't remember if it's the first time, but I met some new cats. At first glance, harmless little things, but after a few turns, they turn into hides with 40 HP and a killer attack that instantly knocked out my rogue. We shouldn't let that happen. The run immediately got a bit tougher because we lost a lot of HP. But it's fine, we revived the rogue here thanks to the cleric's passive and even healed him to full. A healer in our team is worth their weight in gold. Without that, we would have kicked the bucket a long time ago. The morons were beaten in 4 rounds. If not for the transformation, it would have been much easier. Next, I finally reached the final boss of the junkyard, Chubs and Nubs. The guys have no eyesight. They're just worms, so they attack at random. They also attack every time they take damage. One spits a lobbed acid attack, which overall isn't that dangerous. The other spits right in front of him, but only if they take damage. Otherwise, they jump to random spots and try to deal damage around them. In theory, you can aggro them onto each other and make them attack endlessly, which lets you beat them in 1 round. However, it's harder than it looks, and I'm not going to try doing that. Right now, our task is to kill them as carefully as possible and most importantly, at the same time. One has 100 HP, the other has 140. And if you leave one of them alive, he'll start exploding, dealing nuclear damage to all the kitties. The main thing is not to stand near the one who shoots in a straight line. That's the main difficulty. Constantly running away. Luckily, at the end, we prevented the explosion by killing him right before the big boom. Only the healer got hurt in the fight. But it's okay. The main thing is he didn't die. A lot of items dropped, but the most important one is the furniture box. A unique item that, if brought home, turns into furniture for the house. So the cats cleared the area and the graveyard opened up. The second and final area of Act 1, after which Act 2 opens. Put the cats back home, set up a cute table. Butch notified me about a new area, the burial ground. His utterances, as usual, were strange, but I guess that's normal. Bought a food storage from Nansu for 100 coins. A good purchase, since I always fill it to the max after a raid. Gave Butch the last cat and got an upgrade for the storage. Now it's level 2 for me. During the break at home, I only got 3 cats, and stray ones at that. Because at night my pets weren't mating, just beating each other to death. Didn't think I'd like the roguelike this much, but it is what it is. The third adventure with the same squad. The cats' gear is maxed out. They're dressed like devils, which they are, except for the Giga Chad Archer. Found a rat mask. Besides stats, the item poops out embryos. Poor things. Found breakfast. Yes, that same breakfast from Isaac. Only here it gives +2 health regen. And health is the foundation of every run. For the umpteenth time I'm going through Macy. And for the umpteenth time I'm surprised at how easy this boss is. Found Mom's ring, it gives +1 damage and a pill at the end of every battle. Cool item. Isaac items are coming one after another. Now I found a shovel. Encountered a new type of event where my cat got scared of something and now has fear in battle. Actually, it wasn't him who got hurt in battle, but my other cat, Roga, whom I, as usual, sent straight to the front line. There are more and more new passives appearing. For example, the tank got a passive for a dash after a basic attack, which opens up possibilities for a dash-based build and even dealing some damage instead of just soaking it up. That's cool. Actually, from what I've gathered, anyone here can become a damage dealer. The main thing is not to get too carried away or everyone will die off. Even with a small amount of coins, I always buy a candy now, because it's a free level up and new abilities. Potentially, this incredibly increases the success rate of the run. So after killing Cruto Chris without any losses, I headed to the junkyard, because behind it lies the burial ground, a new location. The lumpy ones got beaten up here. I decided to mess around with the little guy and got irritable bowel syndrome for it. Now, at the start of every turn, my cat takes a crap. Well, okay, it could have been worse. Besides glass cats of a different color, I met a new mob, a guy in a gas mask. In this game, he looks much more imposing. My knee started shaking instantly. He reflects projectiles back at the attacker. Ranged combat against him is deadly and extremely disadvantageous unless you one-shot him, of course. Using tactical skills, I learned his abilities the hard way, and then used flies to protect myself from damage. Anything can be won if you think a little. But RNG is sometimes stronger. Flies sometimes run out, and then comes doom. 2 of my cats went down, and the tank just kept pooping and bumping into his own crap while hitting the guy. Yeah, it's a stalemate situation. The further I go, the more injuries my cats sustain. They will definitely survive. Found a giant pile of cat skins, decided to inspect it, and took 2 damage for some reason. A new mini-boss, the Jar Crawler. He doesn't have much HP, but it's offset by insane mobility across half the map and spawning acid under himself. And also, most importantly, invulnerability on all sides except for the face. Targeting his mug is the main problem. Otherwise, there's no difficulty at all. After killing him, he crawls out of the jar and swims in the pooped out acid. But at this point, it's impossible to lose. I continued my thorny path further. Actually, quite a bit of HP was lost on the mini-boss, and even more injuries were gained, making the battle in the next room much harder. By only the 3rd round, only the tank was left alive, but he alone was enough to kill all the mobs. But the other 3 cats are in such bad shape that I've started to get really nervous. Because this isn't even the graveyard yet. Magically, or rather in a clerical way, I managed to heal the kitties and reach the junkyard boss. The tilt was so strong that I forgot about the boss's abilities and stood right in front of him, nearly losing my damage dealer on the very first turn again. In any case, first the healer died, then Roga. Even though we killed one comatose guy, the second one exploded and the whole run was ruined. This tragedy introduced me to Alastair, who will steal not only other people's names but also dead cats after losses or domestic scuffles. Basically, we send all the corpses straight to him and then he can do whatever he wants with them. In return, we also get something back. For example, one random item, food or gold of your choice after a defeat. A little bit of cashback, so to speak. I took a box of furniture. I couldn't get anything better out of this. I placed the box in the painting for better comfort. I gave Tink a kitten and he gave me a fancy pink bow for cats. It doesn't provide any advantages whatsoever, but it does take up a slot on the pious one. Wow! I chose more kitties whose fates are predetermined by the almighty developer. Instead of a rogue, I tried taking a mage this time. Otherwise, the class composition is the same. I took the bow too and put it on the tank since all items from the last run were lost. A new weather effect appeared on the map, a sandstorm that damages cats at the end of the round. I found a broken window and equipped it on the hunter. I encountered the boss, Magnus. He's not that hard either, his whole gimmick is getting close and using a whirlwind, which works out quite well for him, because he knocked out my mage, who will now be permanently debuffed. We defeated him of course, but at what cost? The sandstorm hit so hard that by the next battle, 2 of the cats were on the floor. It's a bit sad because losing 2 runs in a row is not cool at all. At the start of the turn, my hunter has 4 HP and is bleeding. I guess I shouldn't have put that broken window on his neck. To help with that, I leveled up his mini-me passive. Now he has a tiny version of himself in case he dies. I met Satan and chose to lose 10 HP. In the end, we just lost 10 HP and that's it. That decision was critical before dying to the cool rat. Yeah, I remember saying the first area was so easy it wasn't even worth mentioning. However, this is a great example of an itemless run with bad abilities. From Alistair's remaining rewards, I took some food. Butch, seeing my loss, started bullying me like crazy and giving obvious advice. Maybe it was a mistake to take a wizard instead of a rogue, so I took a rogue this time. By the way, I'm going in with only 3 kitties. The rogue immediately got insanity and started hitting absolutely everything. I even thought about killing the beast, but I didn't have enough accuracy, and he went off to fart on everyone else. On top of insanity, he got PTSD, kamikaze, and a bunch of other stuff. I decided not to mess around with such a lunatic, and quit the adventure manually so as not to waste time. It was hard to abandon the tank and the hunter, but with a rogue like that, winning is just impossible, especially with 3. I took an item from Alistair and found a cat with some kind of growing explosion. Sounds appealing. I'm taking all the stray cats into the team because there are no homebred veterans left and for some reason they don't want to mate. This time I took 4 cats instead of just 3. I'm not going to experiment. First I need to complete the act entirely. I set the classes to optimal values and took a fighter instead of a rogue. By the way, he can flex. Not that it's anything cool, it just pushes everyone back 1 square. This time without the forbidden farts and even with decent team healing results. Reaching Magnus, we got a new weather effect. A trash wind, if you will. It moves the cats to other squares. By the way, my tank's growing explosion is nothing but total garbage that barely deals any damage. Wrecking Magnus was just a matter of a couple of rounds. He screwed himself over by walking on the thorny vines left by the archer. At the start of the run, I had almost no items, just a couple of them. But by the middle of hard mode, I was getting more and more items. At least the ones that deal damage. I got the Cosmic Strike ability for the fighter, and it literally sends the enemy into space for 1 turn. Upon landing, they take a lot of damage. Amazing thing. Seems like one of the coolest skills I've ever had. I think this is our first encounter with Radrat, where he managed to detonate 2 bombs while I did nothing. But now I'm inflicting confusion on him. Instead of throwing bombs, he just ran around the map like a total idiot. Anyway, we made it to the junkyard. Here, a crazy scientist gave us a choice. Pull the lever or press the button. Apparently I chose wrong and got a charisma penalty. Well, it happens. Either we're strong or our items are super cool, but we finished off the guy in the jar very quickly. He didn't even have time to realize what happened. The more time I spend at the junkyard, the more new cats I see. This time it's some Popeyes, big and small versions. They gave me a hard time killing the fighter first and then the hunter. But we survived here. The next room was much easier. Old enemies are easy, and after that our healer ate a mushroom and got a boost to all stats. Easy game, I thought, and went after the chubs. It's time to think and not rush in, because while we're okay, the fighter has quite a few penalties. I wouldn't want to increase them. Every knockout greatly reduces the chances of a successful run, as the cats become very weak. We didn't manage to lose. The chubs were taken out in no time. Next, we're making our way into the boneyard. Here, Butch started worrying that we'd get screwed like those lying in the graves. Wait, what is this now? Though by the looks of it, there's someone here to do just that. Found a fighter, almost managed to knock him out in the first turns, but zombie cats aren't that strong. After spawning a ton of fleas, I forgot how to move because those little things take up half the round. But the problem, of course, isn't that, it's that zombie cats can heal by eating rotten droppings off the ground. It's because of this regeneration that I finished this battle only in the 6th round. I think that's a record for a regular room. Found a feathered cap, it gives a whole +4 to speed and flight. We need that. In the middle of the map, I met a mini-boss Mama Maggot. She, as you might have guessed, spawns smaller maggots. And these can be regular small maggots, ramming maggots, or maggots that stun. The boss, to be honest, isn't hard. The whole difficulty of this run right now is that my cats have so many injuries that their stats are near 0. For example, my hunter only has 12 health, just enough for one critical hit from some loser. It started raining and I came across some new monsters, the robes. Instead of a regular attack, they apply leeches. At the end of the turn, it drains HP from the character and gives it to the owner. The leech mechanic is captured very well. I'll take it. Also, the robes create wisps, and after death, they turn into rags themselves. A version of themselves, but weaker. It places a curse on whoever hits it. To me, their whole difficulty is just the leeches and wisps, which, by the way, must be killed in one turn, or on the next they'll get a 100% dodge against one hit again. Luckily for this case, I have a sufficient number of spells. In the shop, I buy everything strictly for HP, because it's great when you can just restore health and not die. It would be even better to have a full set of items on the cats, but we have what we have. Only by this point was I able to put at least something on the fighter from all 3 equipment slots. Met the location boss, Dibberk. A pretty interesting boss, dodging absolutely all attacks and has no CD on this ability. I'm at a dead end. Every time he's hit, he does a backflip, which means that AoE attacks are needed. Or pin him from all sides in a corner, which in my case is the only way out, since I don't have any AoE. On top of that, this blue round thing spawns those same wisps, which one of the fighter cats has to spend a whole turn on. To make it more interesting, I broke a tombstone and a spirit came out of there. I was really lacking difficulty, right? I just thought that after some time zombies would start appearing from there. He dodged absolutely every single attack for 3 turns, and I couldn't understand what to do. I sent all the ghosts into space and finally managed to corner the cat. Though, for some reason, he still managed to squeeze through my tank and get out of the situation. Well, damage was dealt, so he can be killed. But apparently not today. We couldn't handle his evasion ability and got totally wrecked. And that's not even everything he's capable of. Because even after death, he takes revenge on his attackers and possesses my killed cat. Truly an interesting boss, but I got so triggered that I even clenched my teeth. We went too far and died out of nowhere because we didn't understand. This lesson cost me a lot of time. Good cats, items, and my nerves. Oh well. Luckily, we still have food left to grow and get some new specimens. A couple of days later, we got our first elder. 26 years for cats is already an advanced age, where mating is just not an option anymore. Cats don't have the concept of the more wrinkled the raisin, the harder the wood. We send those ones to rest. The next batch is already ready for battle. I gathered the cats and sent the fluffy idiots on a journey. Good name. As you name the ship, so it shall sail. I think we'll sail far. Found a vibrating skull. I'll try to quickly breeze through the first and second locations to reach the burial ground and finish what I started. I hope this second time around the cats don't get totally wrecked in the burial ground. The main thing is finding area of effect attacks. By the way, remember when we cleared the caves and unlocked new abilities for the characters in the party? For instance, the tank now has a suplex, in addition to his regular attack. He just slams cats backwards, and if he hits them against an object, it can even land a critical hit. It looks pretty cool. That's why I've learned to use the environment to its full potential. After all, we are playing a tactical game here. I throw trash in front of the boss and push it into the enemy to deal damage instead of doing nothing. Unfortunately, the first location wasn't without its setbacks. The healer went down and ended up with a broken rib. But it's fine, the main thing is to keep moving forward and stay positive. At the junkyard, I found quite a few items, along with a new weather event, a fire. If we don't go to hell, then hell comes to us. Well, the situation was so dire that I just had to quit. This is just unwinnable garbage. With every cat's death, Alistair gets really happy. Adding to the pile of corpses is a real treat for him. He's a scary guy. Between chores, I found 5 cats, mostly strays again. The house cats just refuse to mate no matter what. I didn't even think about clearing out the house and keeping only the strongest to restore the room's comfort. Right now, I'm collecting everyone, even the craziest ones, and making a full-blown shelter, feeding tons of meat to the unneeded cats. I won't realize this for a long time. I put together a party of mighty doctors since there's no more food, so I can't wait any longer. We've got Oxford as our healer, so I think we'll manage. I tossed a random item into the hole and got some birdseed. It's a fun little gamble of sorts. Yeah, just as I start thinking we're going to make it, we somehow managed to die on a mini-boss. It's lucky the tank finished off the boss before the fighter was killed. The same thing happened with the hippo boss, except the fighter went down first, then the hippo. God bless the developer who came up with death by heart attack. Yeah, at a certain point, this boss gets so overbuffed that it just dies. As you can imagine, I didn't dare go to the junkyard. I realized that without items, I'm just at the mercy of random chance. And randomness is a very scary thing. At the very least, I urgently need food, since there hasn't been a decent restock for the last few runs. I bought an item from Nansu, didn't waste any time, took just one cat, and started another run. This time with a rogue and some items. For some reason, I put the pacifier item on the damage dealer instead of the healer. The monkey's paw trinket grants the wish for improved genes to become the perfect cat. However, he ended up with corrupted genes instead. That turned out poorly. After so many losses, I'm not even trying hard mode so I don't mess up. I went to the hippo boss and just hammered her right at the finish line. The junkyard. It's tougher here, of course, but we've seen it all before. Gotta keep going, same as always. Except for the fact that our most important team member, the healer with the genes, died. A cat after the battle, but he's obviously no match for the healer. Without him, it's much harder to navigate the junkyard. Healing only happens if the room is cleared, or if you're lucky enough to find a big piece of meat on the ground. We managed, of course. We even pulled the jar worm out of its jar and looted some items. Met that guy in the crap suit again. He gave us two choices, Bipis or Phoebus. I chose the first one and got a leather jacket. Gave it to the tank and it hung around the neck, not the body. After another battle, I got a new passive, Dirty Claws, while digging a hole. It's okay, I guess, but the old passives might be better. Good thing you can just skip it. We killed the area boss with almost no trouble. Only Matilda the stray cat died, but she's just a meat shield while the leveled cats deal damage. Junkyard Kitten was added to the playlist, whatever that means. Heading home, hoarding items. Feeling very confident about beating the Dybbuk, even without a healer. The cats still don't want to have sex. It's weird, but they're always ready to fight or grow old. Poor Pochita finally got passed around, so today we have a record edition. 10 whole cats. Hopefully, the survival situation for our little hobo tribe will improve now, with the items and some decent cats. Assembled the party, this time trying a mage and hunter combo. Lazy stalkers. That sounds better. I think we'll pull it off. Decked out in items, the kitties destroyed everything in their path. By the way, I'm using the hunter's excitement ability. It boosts his stats. The first floor was cleared without any issues. The wizard's freeze ability really changed the gameplay. It's a good way to control the mobs. True, you can't damage them while frozen, but it gives you time to regroup. Overall, there's enough damage to kill a crowd of Jekyll kittens in the junkyard within the time limit, so none of them turned into darkness. By mid-junkyard, my tank had 12 health and 10 speed, making him a high-speed tank. Now that's progress, because I don't remember ever having cats like this. Proud of my boys. Blew through the standard mobs, then beat up the hobo. This guy didn't cause much trouble either. Turns out, with the right items, anything is possible. Except when I freeze my own healer, and the enemy crits the mage right at the end of the turn. Well, okay, it wasn't without injuries. Then came the idiot test. They offered to let me steal fish from a mousetrap, but I just turned and walked away. I think sometimes that's the right move. Freeze was especially helpful against the chubs. One of them just deactivated and stayed out of the way. The excitement stacks on the hunter let him deal some serious damage. Plus, hitting an enemy with this buff gives a ton of coins for some reason. By the end of the battle, the map was just covered in piles of coins. And our tank's guts, because he unfortunately died. The healer failed, so I headed to the boneyard fuming. Maybe it was a mistake and I'll lose all my items again, but here goes nothing. The new one's stats don't compare to the greatest tank of all time. The freezing was doing its job and bearing fruit. We managed to tame the boss and level up, but the path ahead was more an act of willpower than full confidence. After meeting so many zombie cats, I thought we'd die right here, but no, we survived. Until now, the new tagless tank wore the Neverstone so the others would get stronger, but that won't work on a boss. We need to maximize his potential and equip him with everything we've got. Before the fight, I geared him up fully so he could at least resist this half-dead round thing. Well then, Dybbuk, take 2. This time our hunter had an AoE attack. That's why the newly made semi-tank with items got knocked out as fast as the fight started. Well, at least we're dealing damage. Unlike last time. We finished the first phase with almost no losses. For some reason, he didn't spawn fireflies this time, which gave us extra windows to deal damage. The boss possessed the corpse of a thrice-fucked cat. I was happy about it since it's just a level 0 cat corpse. The hunter wasn't the only one with AoE. The mage also had a meteor shower, though he only hit an ally. Anyway, congratulations to everyone. The Boneyard boss is fucked. After clearing this area, hunters learned Hunt Zeal, mages learned Trio, and clerics learned Evil Patron. The tank, unfortunately, rest in peace, didn't learn anything. Bit an artery on the pulsing flesh. There are always chunks of flesh in the final areas, and I don't know why they're here. Because of the bite, our mage got deformed. Well, to hell with him. The lazy stalkers returned home. Finally, Act 1 is complete, which means it's finally time for Act 2. They showed us a cinematic where a bandit saves a kitten from a snake, then shoots it. The world of Wildcats is very cruel. Not long ago we were short on items, but now they're raining down on us. From one extreme to another. Either the inventory is totally empty, or there's no room and I have to toss stuff. After clearing the boneyard, Butch told us about some big-chested goth girlfriend who never stops sucking blood. That's obviously the necromancer with her leeches. A new caller. During the mating, they showed a cutscene with a huge cat sitting in the streets. Guillotine. At first glance, a nice fat kitty, but then she bites the kitten's head off. Guillotine is coming for you. A timer appeared. 7 days. Apparently in a week we'll be defending our home from a giant blue cat eater. From now on, home bosses appear. They always evolve after being killed, and if you lose, they'll keep coming until my cats kill them. Butch told us more about her. I won't go into those details, but he did say something useful. Like it's best to use leveled up retirees in the fight against her. The traumatized boy also said a lot, but he gave some advice about Act 2. He says to stock up on water, since the desert is a pretty hot place. He suggested peeing your pants so you don't die of drought. Thanks. I'll remember that. I also met Dr. Beanis, or rather, met him again. This is that same doctor from the beginning, but now I can give him cats with special traits with genes, abnormalities, mutations. For all such cats, despite his advanced age, he gets an erection. For these cats, he'll give us side quests, but as you've realized, not right now. That'll be closer to the third act, when they start to violate me. Mostly these nights were spent in rejections, and in most cases between rainbow cats, if you know what I mean. The rest of them fought for respect. After a few days, I found a cat with questionable genes and gave it to the doctor. He gave me a quest to bring this little gadget to the caves. The thing is very useful, by the way. It turns anyone except for bosses into an ally. The main thing is to hit them with it. Another record for kitten growth, but we still give some of them to Tink. He clearly knows better what to do with such trash. All week I sat at home and raised cats, which in total will make 76 cats. That's quite a lot already. More to come. And now we need to defend everyone from the guillotine. I chose the old-timers, dressed them up, and put them on defense. We didn't have a tank, as you remember, so maybe it would have been good to take care of that in advance. But I just spent the whole week accumulating chakras. So the guillotine, it has 400 health points, which is twice as much as the fattest boss I've encountered. This fat beast deals damage not only with strikes, jumps, and throws, but also by literally devouring cats. It just went ahead and sucked in a cat. The eternally hungry guillotine definitely takes damage, but with each turn I'm shocked in proportion to the damage dealt. Luckily, my cats aren't the timid type and can handle a huge blue bag of crap. So, by the 7th round she had 59 health left, and I only had 2 cats left, a healer and a hunter. There's no need to talk about the semi-tank. He tanked everything possible and then some, but it's a pity to lose the mage. He dealt damage well, finished off the guillotine so that its head got torn off. Victory! We defended against the monster and got a quest item for it, a pulsating cartilage. The cats that fought the guillotine have now become ultra pensioners, whom Butch wouldn't mind taking care of. One of them died at night in a fight with Veronica, the main birth giver of our house. Yeah, this tank is no good for anything anymore. New items have opened up at the track. An empty collar, allowing you to take identical classes into battle, but a maximum of 2. Interesting synergies could come out of this. Gave Dr. Binnis another cat, got ready, and set off. By the way, I decided to try out a new class, the Necromancer. I could have taken 2 quest items with me, but unfortunately, it's not on my way. Now the path leads to the desert. It's just too interesting to discover something new. The Gothic Skinners set off on their journey through the heat. The heat, by the way, gets rid of our heal at the end of the battle and reduces all incoming regen by 1. We can get rid of this debuff if we wet ourselves. But there are no water tiles in the desert, so we'll have to look for filled bottles. In the first room, we were met by skeleton towers and a thwomp, a huge square stone landing right on your face. He's only vulnerable from behind. And the skeleton towers just grow and add to the shield. By the time you reach them, you'll have died 3 times. The stone killed itself when it landed on a cactus. So there was no problem with the skeletons. I've told you about the enemies, now for the Necromancer's abilities. The most important thing is the leech. It's applied to the enemy as a debuff and it can be stacked. At the end of the turn, it takes away HP equal to the number of leeches, and the necromancer himself heals for the same amount. Also, leeches can spread like a disease, and I think there's a lot more you can do with these leeches as well as with corpses and things like that. It's a fucking necromancer. He disarmed the bear trap and hung it on the hunter. The next map was easy. Just a few larvae, round hosts, and carcasses spawning various larvae. As long as there's damage, we kill everyone without any problems. We've met all sorts of people here, but the main goal of this floor is clear. That cat hunter from the cutscene. Zodiac is a guy who shoots at everything he sees and doesn't see. If you move, he starts firing. You either wait for him to reload or just go for it. Overall, I decided to combine both options. It's good that there are plenty of objects to hide behind. The boss isn't hard if you use your head, although you think he would be, since he's the final boss of Loki. Killing Zodiac opened the way to the bunker and the crater. Where to go next remains to be seen. In the meantime, we're collecting cats. One night we were shown a cutscene where a little kitty was eating peacefully, but the guillotine came back for him. Yes, she's alive and her head is in place. The guillotine returns. The timer is 7 days again. After giving Tink the kittens, he also decided to notify me about a giant greasy body running through the streets, and about how he took pictures with his old wife. Well, anyway, he's a crazy guy talking nonsense again. Then he told me about a new car his wife gave him. It was an upgrade for this person. Now on the cat's stats, I see bonus stats, those that can be passed from parents to kittens. Useful information, but it's like I could have guessed it myself. We need to give away more kittens. I distributed the cats properly, so that the comfort value was at least a little bit in the plus, and the cats started mating regularly, not like usual. For resting at home, as many as 9 cats arrived. Not a record, but still. Next, I assembled a second team to conquer the desert and so on. The same lineup. I like the necromancer. He doesn't need healing, and he does decent damage from time to time. I'd like to see him in all his glory. At first, nothing new, except maybe scorpion cats that apply poison on hit. And then skeleton cats and a shambler skeleton appeared, which you have to kill twice, otherwise it will respawn. Just like regular skeleton cats, by the way. Met the boss, Duck. It's a cat just like us, only duck. A rogue with 60 HP and a bag of money on his head. He, as you might have guessed, steals money. As I'm used to saying, the boss isn't hard, but we lost the tank anyway. The little cats finished him off. Plus 1 cat joined after the tank died. I decided not to go the hard way. I think we should explore these lands first, but it seems that even on the normal path there are hard mobs. For example, this death worm and its horde of flies. A very long room. The game makes me think a lot. We managed in 5 rounds. The location boss this time was Gambit, a guy who throws a die which determines his mood and the type of damage dealt. I didn't realize right away that it's better to roll the die yourself if the value on it is over 3. The attacks are always different. That's why he's Gambit. By the end of the battle, my hunter, like the tank before, died for good. We killed the boss, of course, but we lost 2 whole cats. I decided not to risk it, and we went home. I don't want to lose items. That was a bit dangerous. Plus 4 cats were added while doing chores. Without thinking twice, I went to the desert again. I need to open at least 1 more location, as 100 is just around the corner. And again, mad cacti, wrecking everything in their path and only taking damage from behind. There's no point in hitting from the front, they block absolutely everything. We killed them, then the shuffling skeletons found a purple drink that looks like Jesus juice, opened the doors, but didn't dare go down. We killed Duck without losses, but in 6 rounds. This is how our day usually goes. Once again, I'm going to the store for some water. We need this in the heat. I killed the pebbles, got a new extra cat for the group even though no one died, and then I came to Zodiac. He hasn't killed me yet, but we will always avenge the kitten from the cutscene. For the first couple of rounds, we simply couldn't get close to him. It turned out to be some kind of bum line. As soon as we got close to him, he went to another part of the map to recharge. Luckily, we had an extra cat that we didn't mind losing. Though the main cat, the tank, died anyway. My poor tanks, what is this? It's very sad, but there's no time to wait. I need to at least take a peek into the secret bunker. Fanatics from the Hoyult cult live here. All sorts of robots and other undead, which are generally defeated, but not as easily as in the desert. Along with them on the way was a hellspawn. It appeared from an unsuccessful opening of a box on the map. Apparently, it killed everyone on the map, and now it has to kill us. The fool has 69 HP and looks like a real chaosite. Quite an unusual HP value, by the way. Maybe he's just another sadomasochist? Since my necromancer learned to resurrect and subdue the dead, I tried to resurrect a fanatic, but he walked so slowly that there was no point in it. We defeated the spawn. It felt like we killed a full-fledged boss. But actually, the boss was further on in the form of Lenny. There. He freaking loved my cats, so he just runs to them and hugs them so hard that the cat's bones break. By the way, I forgot to say that my cat unlocked the ability to ride on its butt, after which it poops out a little worm. Just say. The necromancer cat has fallen. The cat gets injured, and Lenny gets upset, starting to blast all my cats with an AoE attack. When Lenny had only 1 HP left, the necromancer also had 1 hit left, and at that moment the hunter shot him. That was very close. The rooms further on weren't much different. All the same cultists, robot cats, and fanatics. Nothing difficult after killing them once. The main thing is not to let them overbuff with their drugs and syringes. Before the boss, I geared up the cats fully, since it's a location boss and I have no idea what to expect from him. Johnny, a little guy with a huge head, whose bald spot is being rubbed by one of the fanatics. Johnny himself has 250 HP, calls for an infinite number of fanatics, and uses psi abilities when they rub his bald head. My main task is to keep them away from the boss at any cost. When I attack him, they run to his aid, scattering the cats across the map in the process. I use the Gorgon's Eye to turn everyone to stone. Stuns help for a while, but the cats don't stop taking damage. Besides telekinesis, he can also push back and drive you crazy, dealing just massive damage. We were clearly missing something. For example, cats with good abilities. The new fanatics who came to help easily beat the cats, leaving no chance. The defense is completely broken. This can't be won anymore, though I tried very hard. I didn't think I could lose to such a piece of trash. Many items were lost, as well as food and gold. A kitten with Down syndrome appeared. Great. While at home, 4 cats were added. Another run into the little desert. Need to finish off this, Johnny. I took a cat with an incredible meow. Just listen to this. I think he's the one who'll win us the match. But there was also a shitty cat with negative intelligence. I think it balances out. In any case, the starting mobs didn't stop us from moving forward. But what did interfere was the necromancer's blood frenzy. Frenzy is one of the scariest things, especially if the character is leveled up. Luckily, it's not a permanent frenzy, and it was mostly controlled. I tried very hard not to activate it. We passed the desert and returned to the bunker to the same fanatics and robot babas, smashing them with a suplex. Lenny seemed much easier the second time, as the strategy was clear. Just don't let him hug the cat he chose. I went down the right side, where there was the same acid and a new mob, the bulldozer killer. Better not to run into one of those. I killed him first, and then everyone else. I came to take revenge on the huge tower for the death in the last match, this time with a full squad of cats. The tank acted as a soccer player and kicked all the fanatics back to the edge of the map. The others damaged everything that could be damaged, and didn't let Larry cast his abilities. I really liked the fight. It was as if all our spells were picked specifically for this battle. Our hunter's creeds literally made the huge tower explode. And I told you the cat with the cool meow would win it. Finished off the lackeys and then went back home. And that's how the far-off cats cleared the bunker. But next, a fucking hell awaits us. Literally. Because the next location is the Earth's core. The cutscene doesn't inspire confidence at all, but I think we'll manage. Butch gave me a new class, the Engineer. We'll try it out later because Guillotine 2 has attacked us. The defense lineup consists of old-timers. With a stitched-up belly and a severed head, Guillotine hit even harder, because now we're essentially facing 2 units, making it 50% harder. While I was messing with the head, the body was frozen in ice, but once it broke free, it started jumping and dealing damage, and quite a lot of it. I was starting to doubt our victory, but we had enough healing, as well as damage. First, the cats drained the head, after which Guillotine's body went into a frenzy, started throwing trash all over the map and knocking out the cats. The battle actually went all the way to round 11. After the 10th round, exhaustion sets in, which deals damage every single round. The zombie kittens left behind by the dead necromancer tried to do something, but they died at every opportunity. It's not all that bad. In the end, we still managed to defeat her, but only with 3 of us, since the necromancer had completely passed on. I bought an Art Deco dresser, remodeled everything in my house to make it look cool, and then reached 100 cats. After the 100, there were 9 more, but we'll save that amount for the next video to keep the numbers neat, if you want to see a sequel, of course. During one of the nights, they showed a rotten guillotine rising from the grave, covered in maggots and thirsting for revenge. How much more can I take? I just finished defending against this one, I can't even gather enough retirees. Well, alright, we'll deal with it later. As of today, I've already completed almost 40% of the game. In this video, about 20% was completed, so I don't think you'll have to wait long for the next one. Overall, I liked the game, even considering that I basically didn't do any synergies, mutations, or full-on breeding. Nevertheless, the progress for the first video is quite decent. I hope you enjoyed this video sequence. Thanks so much for watching all the way until the very end. Well, that was me, and I really appreciate you sticking around. See you again very soon.